And Jason Salzman back with you again in the Mvskoke Media studios. And I now have the pleasure of being joined by Mr. Kevin R. Kemper. He is, of course, with Kevin R. Kemper, attorney at law in Norman. He is a private attorney there. And we want to thank you for being with us today, sir, and dropping in. You yourself, very versed in Indian law, actually have a master's in Native American law. And also, you can tell us a little bit about your background and specifically dealing with free press issues as well, all around Indian country, things that you've had a hand in looking at. But tell us today what sort of brings you here to us and what concerns you about what we've been sort of dealing with today.
I believe you have an emergency here in the Mvskoke Nation. I believe that the Mvskoke Creek Nation Council is getting ready to make a grave mistake. The proposed legislation, which I've already looked at, would violate the rights of every member of the Mvskoke Creek Nation. It would violate the rights of the journalists who work for Mvskoke Media. It would violate the tribal constitution. And it's extremely serious. You know, in its wisdom at the time, the tribal council set aside Mvskoke Media as an independent press so that it wasn't directly accountable to a particular department within the tribal government. And by doing it, it created a public forum. I believe the paper was a public forum before that, but it emphasized it. You can't unring that bell. Once you set up a public forum, then you have to protect it. And in the constitution of this tribe, it says that nothing can be done to abridge the rights of the citizens of this great nation.
Right.
You can't take away their rights that they would have as being citizens of the state of Oklahoma. You can't take away any rights they have under the federal government. You know, Congress has spoken in the Indian Civil Rights Act and said that tribes are expected to protect freedom of the press, freedom of speech, and those other freedoms that we find in the First Amendment, okay, generally speaking. And freedom of the press is expressly stated there in the Indian Civil Rights Act. So Congress, the courts, the federal courts, look to the tribe to do the right thing by their own people. And a few years ago, there was the great action of having the Independent Press Act, which showed leadership in the country. Only a handful of tribes have that kind of press act. And so to renege on it now, you can't do it. You can't undo establishing a public forum. And it will be a grave violation of the rights of the Mvskoke people. And that concerns me, but it's also going to set a bad precedent that could spread all through Indian country. Therefore, you know, I'm here to observe and to be of support as I can and to share the knowledge I've accumulated over the years.
Let me ask you, Kevin, you know, you said, as it's saying, set a precedent. And you yourself have been all over the country, Arizona, things like that, worked with several different tribes. Have you ever, or did you ever think that you would see a scenario like this where free press is granted to a tribe, there's confetti in the air, it's the fourth tribe in America to do it, what a day, and then 3 years later, we're pulling it back. You know, have you ever seen anything like that with the other tribes?
Well, I would say that one of the problems that we have in Indian country is that every time you have new elections, you have to wonder what's going to happen. That we don't have that continuity of good law going from administration to administration. Obviously, every administration has its agenda. Every administration wants to do what it thinks it's best for the tribal people. What people don't understand is this is a whole lot different than deciding what month you're going to have your annual festival. This is a whole lot different in deciding how much in commodities you're going to share with tribal people. Those are important issues. This is more than that. This is a decision to say, okay, we've recognized these fundamental basic civil rights and civil liberties. We're setting aside this public forum so that the people can interact with each other and tell stories, tell true stories, tell good stories. And you've been doing that. You know, the Mvskoke Media has won lots of national awards, local awards. You know, you've been doing good journalistic work from what I can tell. And to go back on that is extremely serious. We don't want to do something that will fundamentally erode the protections that the Mvskoke people have in their own constitution.
Well, sir, we certainly thank you for coming down and being with us and relaying your thoughts. And really, to me, what I'm getting most out of you is, and what it's been so far, the narrative so far to this point today, is a right or wrong issue. You are coming in saying, absolutely, but it's also a law issue, right?
Yes,
Okay.
it is very much a legal issue, and I would say that the Mvskoke Creek Tribal Council may not realize the legal repercussions, the publicity repercussions that will be negative, that's going to come upon the tribal council, that's going to come upon the tribe, because the tribe is going to back away from something good that it did.
Yeah.
They have no idea the trouble that they've stirred up.
Well, we appreciate you, like we said, coming in and talking with us and being on to talk to our citizens, really
Yes,
have them more
absolutely.
informed, and we really
Absolutely.
appreciate that. And wish you safe travels on your way back to Norman this evening, where you have your private practice, as we said. Kevin R. Kemper, attorney at law, here with us, really breaking down some things. Folks, 6 o'clock. It's coming up really soon at the council chambers tonight. They will vote on whether or not to repeal the Free Press Act for Mvskoke Media. We hope to see as many citizens out there as we can.